Call our regular council meeting to order for Monday, March the 9th. Approval of the agenda. The March 9th, 2020 regular meeting agenda be adopted as presented. Move second. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Adoption of minutes. That the minutes of the regular council meeting held February 24th, 2020 be adopted as presented. Move second. Any errors or omissions? Councillor Harrison?
So I have one comment regarding the last council meeting. Last council meeting we had a presentation by Fraser Health. Oh, sorry, I'm supposed to turn this on.
Turning.
We had a meeting with Fraser Health, and Dr. Chow had a presentation. And at the presentation I asked the question, who will be doing the homeless count in our area? And it was presented that the region district would be doing it, but that was not true. HATS are doing the homeless count. So I just want to make that straight, because it's so difficult when we don't get accurate information for council to make these real tough decisions. And if HATS is doing it, then I'm afraid there's maybe a conflict of interest that could be happening. So that's why I asked the question. It wasn't answered my answer, but it wasn't answered when I asked the question, but Councillor Smith asked the question back, and they said HATS. I mean, they said the region district. And so for me, it's really concerning when we don't get the accurate information here at council, because one of these decisions are very difficult for us to make, and when the information's in error, I really question it. So that was left out. So I just like to put that in to the minutes.
So, Councillor Erickson, did you verify that directly with HATS? How did you verify this information?
It was told us at the meeting.
Yes, but how did you, she told us it was not HATS and you're saying it is HATS.
I got an email from them saying that they were doing it.
From HATS?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're right, that's what I wanted to find out. How did you find out the correct information? Okay.
And it was at another meeting that HATS were chairing that said they were doing it.
Because the regional district has done it in the past through the Mennonite Church.
Mm-hmm.
So this is
That's
something
right.
new this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we should,
Well, you can verify it, but I verified it on the, it came through on my saying that HATS were doing it.
so a motion to amend the February 24th minutes. Move, second, all those in favor? Opposed, carried. Thank you. You can do your mic there for me, Councillor. Thank you. We have a delegation tonight from the Hope Mountain Center. It's always good to see Mr. Kelly Pearce here to give us an update on what's been going on and what the future holds.
Great.
Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you. I was expecting a bit more business before I flew in. Thank you, and I did show up. Great to be here, everyone. I'm really excited to just give you hopefully a richer picture of what got accomplished by the trail crew last year, as well as some other trail initiatives that came to completion and were delivered on to the benefit of the town. And also to look ahead to 2020. And then I'm happy to answer questions too. That's all right. I do, right, Rebecca. So there's Rebecca Aerosmith, our trail crew lead, head supervisor of the crew on the left, and Agus Stromquist, Seth Prodzig. Just wanted to have a quick glance at our trail crew epicenter, the bridge of the enterprise, if you will, where all the tools are stored here at McDonald's at the storage unit there. And I'm just going to give you a quick look at some of the highlights, some of the examples of trail construction that was done. Several days went into the Hope Lookout Trail, one of the most heavily used trails in the community, and some excellent new staircases were built, and other types of damage along the trail were repaired. One of the nice assets that was added was a toilet had been put in the year before, but it kind of lacked privacy. A number of users of the toilet reported back to us. So we built this nice privacy screen heading to the lookout loop. Little novelties like this on the trail are great in terms of attracting, Instagram posts and Facebook posts. And there was definitely some giggles that came in the days after this thing was installed. In case you're wondering what a backcountry toilet looks like, that's what it is, a big plastic throne with the requisite lid, but very portable and easy to move too. So it was invented by actually a national park ranger in Canada, so that a single ranger working alone could actually relocate a backcountry toilet without the need to maintain a complex structure. So great design. The crew also put in a lot of time into the Hope Bike Park, as you'd expect. A lot of raking and brushing. In this case, they replaced a cedar log that had been broken by a fallen tree in a windstorm. And that's Chris Hornby to the right there, who did some of the saw work for us that day. They also installed a bike rack that was donated by 6th Avenue Sports that went in near the disc golf park. So now people playing disc golf or just using the bike park generally actually have a bike lock or a rack to lock up to. They also installed over a dozen directional signs at key trail intersections throughout the park, and those are quite handsome. You can't quite see it in this photo, but there's a nice. I'm just wondering maybe we can turn the lights down a little bit. If we could dim the lights. Just want you guys to see that beautiful black steel emblem that binds all the signs now. That was developed by Ali Harwood, a graphic designer, and of course she's the one who designed our Hope brand. So it's basically a monochrome steel version of our Hope brand that appears throughout the park now. It's quite cool. Lots of brushing on all the trails that they worked on. So the photo on the left versus the photo on the right shows you the difference when the trail gets properly brushed. And that makes all the difference with heavy dew or rain that can get your pant legs soaking wet when you're hiking on a trail that hasn't been properly brushed. So it's an important aspect of what they do. They continue to install nice cedar benches and key lookout locations around the trail network. This is a Lansdowne Ridge with a beautiful bench looking west. There they are staining log rounds on my driveway to build some of those benches. Several of the benches were also built by Justin Brown using rural dividend funds that we basically finished spending the last of those funds in the spring this year. Or I should say, I guess it really was spent the year before, but there are a number of deliverables like these benches that continue to get installed into summer 2019. We did a lot of work on HVC, mighty sections being bridged with these nice split wood boardwalks, very rustic, but perfect for a backpacker to tiptoe across, and it beats the heck out of sledging through the mud. And we also installed various other short footbridges. Here's an example of one on the Hope Mountain Summit Trail. The trail goes to the very top of Mount Hope. Another trail you can see, but it really needs a lot of brushing. The trail passes through former logged areas, which receive a ton of sunlight, so there's a huge flush of growth in the veggies every summer there, so it's good to whack them back when you can. And there's the summit of the Hope Mountain, so something definitely worth going to, and a trail very well worth maintaining. So there on the left-hand side, you've got a list of all the trails that were worked on, 18 in total. And then on the right-hand side, you've got an example of the range of work that was done. And of course, not all that work would have been done on each one of those trails, but rather, certain, different trails needed different things. Some needed painting and staining on the sign, others needed significant construction. But every trail received sort of a basic level of attention at least. And so I wanted to give you just a picture of how your money was spent in 2019. You can see that the District of Hope committed just over $29,000 to the trail crew. Hope Mountain Center then spent $25,000 in value. If you add up all the promotional work that we did with brochures, the value of volunteers, which I'll itemize in another slide coming up, and various other resources that we bring to the table. Canada Summer Jobs threw in $3,800, which helped to subsidize the wage. And Recreation Sites and Trails BC threw in $5,000, which went toward the HBC trail by and large. So really, we doubled your money and delivered a lot of stuff on the ground that went well beyond the $29,000 initially pledged. But I do want to, reiterate just how important that seed money is. The money that you guys have given us gives us power to go and leverage additional dollars. So it's incredibly important. And those volunteer hours, I just itemized them on a per trail basis. And it comes in at almost 600 hours, valued at over $8,000. So again, that's one of the values that our nonprofit society brings to this project. And I wanted to pay tribute to those volunteers. Here's a team of them at our Pearce Creek Boulder Toss. And this was in late April, I think, or mid-April. And we got caught in the middle of a snowstorm, but that didn't stop us. We still cleared the lower 2 kilometers of the HBC trail, which tends to fill up with boulders every winter, and then we just clear them off in the spring. It's quite a fun event. And we worked on the Tikaloose Trail up in the canyon, removing fallen trees and raking and smoothing the trail where it was damaged. Lots of kids in the bike park in the spring and the fall. Here's Mr. Poulin's grade 6 class helping us rake and clean in the month of March, and then helping us clean up leaves in the fall. These kids really love the park and enjoy these work parties that we put on for them. And of course, I can't identify these 2 gentlemen, but it was a thrill to see them showing up at our March cleanup. And this is the one that the general public turns up for in the spring every year at the bike park. And this is also the season when we installed and finished installing a bunch of the signs that were produced by Stephanie Hooker, Advantage Hope, and the Rural Dividend Fund in the previous years, and basically they've just been waiting over the winter last year to be delivered in the spring, and there they are, beautiful new kiosks with really professionally designed graphics appearing on all those kiosks. They just look great. This is Flood Falls Trail. This is the new graphic for the entrance to the disc golf park, which has proven to be very popular. And there's the famous Rambo Bridge. Of course, Brian McKinney was like the kid at Christmas when this thing went up, and that's another great, Instagrammable, Facebook posty friendly kind of thing to have in the town, and right of course with a perfect view of where the bridge used to be too, and it keeps that history alive. And this is the picnic area at the bike park with a major kiosk sign there. So really exciting new graphics, and it's great having these locational maps at all of these kiosks too, because wherever somebody encounters one of these kiosks, they can be reminded not only of where they are, but what other sites they can get to from where they are. So very valuable to visitors in our town, as well as residents. And I'm really excited about these. This is another Advantage Hope deliverable that got put into the ground in 2019. So we had a Kettle Valley Railway commemorative bridge, Kettle Valley Bridge interpretive sign, one where the Kettle Valley Station, the KVR station, Hope used to be, and also at the crossing where the KVR crossed with the CNR line. And so there's some historic photos for relevant and stories relevant to each of those locations in town. I also love these little posts that have been sprouting up like mushrooms all through the town. Again, provided with that rural dividend money, but it really helps to remind residents and visitors where that KVR went through our town. That one's right near my house. A bunch of other interpretive signs that Advantage Hope created, and ultimately Hope Mountain Center volunteers helped them install at the Othello Tunnels. And as you know, this is the most heavily visited tourism site in our town, in our immediate area. And the interpretive signs that I'm so excited about, there's so much more information there now, more photos, more detailed descriptions of the amazing engineering marvels of the Coquihalla subdivision, particularly the Hope to Brookmere stretch of the KVR, and these signs have been getting a lot of attention. It was neat, just even when we were installing them, we had them laying on the ground, and groups of 10 or 12, 15 people would gather around the signs and read them when they were laying down on the gravel. So the demand for and the interest in those tunnels is huge, and being able to educate people while in that location is incredibly valuable. We also put in a new interpretive sign on the Hope Nicola Valley Trail, which kind of forms a loop trail with the fellow tunnels, and this tells the really fascinating story of that cattle trail that was built in 1876 between Merritt and Hope. And that map on the right really describes beautifully. I think it was done by what's his name, Bob Harris, great cartographer, and who took a keen interest in Hope. It just shows all those wonderful historic trails coming out of our town over the last 170 years. And we also, with District of Hope grant and aid, we also put in, we're going to ultimately have a total of 4 of these kiosks where HBC hikers can sign in and give us detailed information on who they are, where they're going, how many in their party, and some other vital stats that will give us a lot more information about exactly who and when the trail is being served. And here's a final shot of our volunteers, a bunch of them picking up cedar planks from Cultus Lake. BC Parks allows us to take away all their used cedar planks, and so those ultimately become steps in the Hope Lookout Trail. They become signs, they become decking on bridges and all kinds of stuff. So a wonderful resource that we get for free, and it's basically volunteer time and mileage that gathers them up at Cultus Lake and brings them back to Hope every year. So in terms of other promotions that we do, you're all aware of the Trails of Hope brochure, and we basically reprinted 10,000 copies of that brochure in 2019, so those are still going out into the world. And we'll be reprinting and updating this brochure, and hopefully even expanding its size physically to accommodate some of the new trails that are being added, and one new one that's being built next year, or actually this year. These are also published with Rural Dividend money that helps to promote the HBC trail. The map on the right gives you detailed information on how to hike the trail, all the road access points, the distances between camps, water sources, things you need to know before you go, including that elevational cross-section to remind you that it's not just a flat trail to Tulameen, it's a horrendous up and down, a lot of vertical rise and fall on that trail. And then this accompanying booklet designed for your backpack can come along with you on the trip and tell you the stories of the HBC specific to the location where you are on the trail. So you can see on that upper left corner, you can actually see that trail profile and see that this story relates to this particular point on the trail that you might be at. So it's very geographically tied to the trail, these stories. Really colorful tales too. So lastly, I just want to look ahead to 2020 and let you know what we're going to do. We want to continue maintaining local trails as we did last year, but we also want to build a brand new trail that we just received permission from the province to build called the Dragon's Back. So I just want to give you a bit of a preview of the Dragon's Back. The green area is the Cascade Lower Canyon Community Forest, and they pitched in about $44,000 to match the $29,000 that you guys have pledged to us. And with that money, we're going to build this brand new trail. So it's in red, just south of Flood Hope Road there, you can see it. So very close to the community of Silver Creek. And it's a beautiful trail. I'll show a few pictures. There's beautiful waterfalls along the route. There's lots of rugged terrain with cedars and Doug firs, and it's going to be pretty country to walk through. And there's huge slabs of granite. There's an area that we call the Stone Garden that has these huge tilted slabs of granite you can actually walk underneath. And they've been scraped by glacial ice, and you can see the stratified cut lines running along the side of the granite as it was scraped by moving glaciers coming out of the Silver Creek Valley there. So a very exciting place. There's one of the giant Douglas firs that goes close to the trail. Great First Nations cultural information too that came out of the archaeological study that we did. So that's going to be explained in the interpretive signs. There's looking south from one of the promontories. That's my crazy little dog Maggie.
Oh, that's a wild one.
Yeah, it's one of the neighbors. This is looking south, looking up what would be a Silver Skagit Road. And this is a view looking down on Silver Creek from the top of the Dragon's Back. So when this trail is built, it's going to be similar in elevation gain and distance to the Hope Lookout Trail. It'll be relatively low elevation. People can hike it through most of the year. It'll be accessible to beginner and intermediate hikers. And I think it's going to be an exciting new chapter in the trail development that we're seeing around Hope. And that's that. Any questions?
Any questions, Council? Mr. Pearce?
That's a really quick one. How often do you have to brush the trails? Is it once a year? Is it twice a year?
It depends on the trail. Like some trails are so shady, like the Hope Lookout Trail is on under forest canopy the entire way until you come up from the ski slope. So it doesn't really require a lot of brushing. You know, every few years would be fine just to hit a few hot spots. But in other trails, like the Hope Mountain Summit Trail that you saw, it goes up through old log areas. There's tons more sunlight, and that one you kind of need to hit almost every summer.
Yeah.
To some degree, at least when you're really
That's in the springtime of the summer.
yeah. Depends. If you cut back alder, of course, it's going to take a couple years to come back, and then you're fine. But there are a lot of herbaceous plants like ferns that just come up seasonally, regardless. And you gotta whack them. Yeah.
Thank you, Kelly, for presenting this. Hope Mountain Trail going up Hope Mountain. Is the road accessible to the parking lot up there now, or how do you get up there?
It is, yeah. It's about an 8-kilometer road up to the trailhead. It's rugged. You need a 4x4 with high clearance. The water bars are the thing that gets you. But what I understand is that BC Timber Sales is actually planning to harvest a couple of blocks very high up on the mountain this summer. And that's good news for recreationists because it means they're basically going to reopen the road to a logging truck standard all the way up. Which will be a huge benefit. It means our crew doesn't have to work on that road, and the logging company will basically regrade it. They'll have to put in a brand new bridge crossing at the creek. It's at kilometer 5. But those are all wonderful assets that then become recreational assets. So I'm quite excited about that.
So do you know how many people have hiked that last summer? Is there
We don't.
keeping track?
I'd love to be able to tell you. We don't have stats on that, but what we're doing is we're steadily beginning to install more and more wildlife cameras on key trails. And so I hope to give you some hard numbers like that in the years ahead.
It's a beautiful trail.
It is, yeah. When you get to the top of the day, like Hope looks so beautiful down there. It's a gorgeous one. So I assume everybody's aware that last year was the first year in a 3-year cycle of Hope District funding the trail group. So we just wanted to thank you guys again for your vote of confidence, and we just wanted to demonstrate that we're giving you value for your dollar, and I hope you guys agree with us on that one. We're praying that you do.
Councillor Smith?
Yeah, I want to compliment you on your value you do give the town in that, eh? And you've done a great job leveraging, and you've created some great jobs for people that love or appreciate the town, be a part of it. I know there's other towns that are jealous of what you do. to make us look good like this. And also, the signage at the tunnel, it's nice to see it refreshed. It was looking pretty tired, so
It was.
it was, and the information is way more important now. And also, I like the trip, telling people what to do to prepare for the trip.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people come out there, got a great idea of traveling, and a lot of areas become a search and rescue thing, so it's nice to be prepared,
Mhm.
and that's a great addition to put up in the sign, so well done.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Pearce. I always appreciate what you do and your organization, the Home Health Center, and all your volunteers. You got another busy year coming.
I think we do. Yeah, we're excited about it though.
I look forward to finishing Dragon's Back.
Yes.
We're ready to go.
I guarantee you we'll finish it. It'll be a fun day, a really fun day. I can't.
Right.
An hour and a half should be plenty of time to get up to the top.
When you say the skill is similar to the Hope Lookout?
Yeah, similar to that, yeah. And I took my daughter up there in a summer dress when she was 4, so a determined parent can even get a little kid up a trail like that. And to be honest, I think this will be maybe a little bit less demanding than the Hope Lookout Trail. It won't need near as many staircases. We've got over 250 individual steps on the Hope Lookout Trail now, which is the most steps I've ever encountered on any trail anywhere. It's kind of insane. So we're going to try and design the trail differently at Dragon's Back so that it's not going to be so staircase dependent. Yeah, because it does become a maintenance issue over time.
And try to find one of Mr. Kelly's walking sticks.
Yeah, those are hidden like little,
He leaves those
little
all.
treasures around the
Yeah.
parts of the Look behind kiosks, because I've noticed that a few of them lean up against kiosks or tucked away behind kiosks. Yeah.
Thank
Guys
you.
want your clicker back? Thanks everyone for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
No staff reports tonight. There's no committee reports tonight. Moving on to mayor and council reports. I attended the Hope and Area Healthy Communities Committee meeting. We had a long discussion on the Fraser Health's plan for our community for relating to the coronavirus. It's very topical right now. There is a plan in place. I won't go into details, but you can go to the website if you have some concerns. And the key message, wash your hands frequently. Over and over again we heard that. There was a lot of misinformation on social media, which is too bad, which they had to do a lot of corrections on and tuning up some of the Facebook messages. People were naming people that did not have the virus, and you know, the saga goes on. So don't get your information from Facebook. There's also, we talked about with the coronavirus, a business contingency plan. The local businesses have a plan. What if you lose 30 or 40% of your workforce? How will you manage your business? What will you do? Will you stay open? Will you do only online? So if local businesses do not have a plan, there again you can go online with Fraser Health and they give you some ideas on how to put together a plan. But it doesn't hurt to be ready. Attended the Fraser Valley Regional District Hospital Board meeting. There was nothing relevant at this time to bring back to council. The Regional District Board meeting, we did review the financial plan, and that passed for the Regional District. I opened the BC Provincial Doubles Curling Championship. It was well supported by local fans. I talked to the representatives from Curl BC, and they felt that they estimated that visitors and the organization drew up to $180,000 in our community on rooms, meals, fuel, and other necessities to put the games on. So they hope we appreciate it, and they would like already, we're talking about maybe coming back in a couple of years. They were very pleased at how a small organization, a community like us, could put on a big event like the provincial doubles. So well done to the club. My fun part of the job, which I've mentioned before, I had a visit to council chambers with Mrs. Neller's grade 5 class. Came into council and asked me questions. Some I think were parent provided, but some of them, they were always entertaining for sure. Hard to keep a straight face sometimes with, they want to know where certain things end up, and sewage especially. A lot of good sewage questions. But, anyway, I always enjoy when the students come to see us. Thank you to Councillor Smith for putting a list together for recycle return options. I'm hoping you're going to talk about it in your report tonight. And hopefully maybe give us an indication of how soon it could be distributed, because the community is asking for some of the options where a lot of people won't take this, where do we take cans of paint? So thank you for putting that together. We start with Councillor Erickson tonight.
Sure.
Thank you.
So I attended a meeting at the Tillicum home, and just so you know, they formed a new society. It's going to be called Hope Independent Living Society, and they're really working toward, they're very concerned, that their young people are actually aging out, and they have the intellectual disabilities, and the parents are getting older, and they need to have some place where these people can call their home. So this society is moving forward, looking at trying to find some way of getting some housing and something where they can, the people can be housed with their parents in the same facility, or housed by themselves with some seniors. They're trying to put together some housing for them. I thought it was a good meeting today. They're really moving forward. Big thing is they formed the society now, so now they can actually go out and start having people come and give them actual answers to some of the questions. They're looking for land. They're looking for someone to kind of help them push this project forward. It was a good meeting, and now they're meeting the second Monday of every month at 3 p.m. It's going to be an ongoing thing. So I was quite happy with what they're going. Last year and a half they've been kind of struggling, but now they're moving forward. So I'm happy with that. I also attended a meeting of the business owners on the Hope Princeton Way regarding the homeless shelter. And I sat there and listened for about an hour and a half, and they're really concerned of what's happening as a result of the homeless shelter being in their business are really affected, and they really pushed wanting to know what the district is going to be doing with the homeless shelter and what the future is. I also attended a ratepayers meeting, and again, the ratepayers are putting on a Lego Expo this coming weekend in Silver Creek. I think it's the 4th annual Lego Expo. Yeah.
The four.
Fourth, yeah. And another thing that came up is the ratepayers have been doing the videoing of the Hope Council meetings, and I thought it was quite interesting. They said on an average, people that watch the meetings on YouTube is between 30 and 350, depending on the agenda of the council. So even if it's just 30, that's 30 extra people that watch Hope Council on YouTube, and I thought that's really good. And they also talked about the homeless shelter and what council is doing to bring it into compliance. I think that's it. That's it. Thank you. Oh, just a minute. One thing that Hope ratepayers told me, turn my microphone on.
Yes. We're all trying to remember that. Councillor Trump.
The Hope Arts Council hosted their backroom show called Retrospect 11, and the opening reception was held on Saturday, March the 7th from 7 to 9 p.m. The collection was a collection of creative works from the art machine community. Like Mayor Rob was saying, they wrapped up the Mixed Doubles Provincials Championship with Hope Curling Club. Took a lot of volunteer help from the community and the members, but they pulled it off. I got a chance to talk to lots of the players, and they had lots of compliments from the visiting teams about our community, and they were looking forward to the next visit. Wednesday, March the 4th, I attended our first budget meeting down here, so I'm looking forward to the rest of those. And this weekend, Hope Adult Hockey League is hosting their year-end tournament. It'll include 16 men's teams as well as 4 women's teams. I think there's 7 locals teams, so that's 13 from out of town, so that's lots of people in our hotels and restaurants. It'll be busy, and it's generally a lot of fun to check it out. I'm sure you'll see John in action. myself, but, yeah, looking forward to it.
I don't know, it's funny.
Well, they might just come and see me anyway, but. But, yeah, that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Tron, Councillor Stewart?
Yes, thank you. I attended the same meeting as Councillor Arkin and Councillor Richardson regarding the Old Hope Princeton Way concerns, and subsequently sent an email out to all of council as to what transpired at that meeting. I think it's important that we all know that there are some difficulties. It's not all roses up there. And on that note, I'd like to know if an application has been made for rezoning on that property yet. Oh, pardon me.
Councillor Stewart, no. And we are trying to seek clarification and a degree of certainty moving forward, because we know it's important to this community. And there should be more to follow shortly, I'm hoping.
Okay, so we do have the authority under our zoning bylaw, section 3.3, to be able to deal with zones that are operating non-compliant. And I think the community would like to see this come forward. So I want to make a note of that we do know that it is non-compliant. And the only other thing I did was work on the policy that we're going to be discussing later. So thank you.
Okay, Councillor Smith?
So, yeah, the Communities in Bloom are working on the list for the garbage and that, so we have some interesting items. We're down to a few things we're trying to find where they go and everything, so by the 20th we have it. We've sent out copies to His Worship here, Mr. Farlowski and Mr. Dickens to work, to make sure we're getting it right. It started out at 2 pages, I think we're at 7 now, so there'll be quite a few information for people where everything goes. We are trying to get it right, and that's what we're going to do. March 25th, Communities in Bloom, we did a cleanup on 6th Avenue, just to show that spring is in the air, and everybody should get out there. Clean up work Wednesdays, we did, this Wednesday we're doing trash pickup down by the Flying J along the road there. We supply the glove sticks, vest, it's 10 a.m. to 11, parking just off 168 across from Valley Helicopter. Just come out, get an hour of fresh air, and make a difference in our town.
What time?
10 o'clock.
10.
Yeah, on this Wednesday. Also attended the Interlink Library in Burnaby. I'm the representative for the Fraser Valley Regional Library Board for 1 year. Interesting the problems down in the areas, and how we can improve things for us, what we're doing, what they're doing better. And because it's not always about money, sometimes it's just about doing something in a different method. And so it's been very interesting. It was also the opening of BC Curling. A lot of people stepped up in this town to help in the event to make success. It's really, really nice to see. I was at the budget meeting, quiz night, Fraser Valley Library Board, the Friends of the Library had the quiz night. Questions were done by the amazing Deb Ireland. Some were tougher than we thought. We had lots of good laughs, everything else. Last year, we were tied for last. This year, we're fortunate to say we finished 4th instead of 8th. So we're definitely improving. So the other thing is also attended the TELEC meeting, listened to the concerns and ideas they have. It's very interesting, very informative. The Fraser Valley Watershed Coalition has received our letter and is moving forward with the application with the regional district, fully to try and get a regional park. It'll be the for the Tomberry project. The Hope Mountain Center of Outdoor Living and Communities in Bloom will continue to support this project moving forward. We're still about a year away, but there's quite a bit to do. But they very much support the letter that the district gave them to move forward. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Moving on to permits and bylaws. The District of Hope Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 1474, 2020, read 23200 Trans-Canada Highway. The motion reads that the District of Hope Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 1474, 2020 be given a third reading this 9th day of March 2020 in order to redesignate a section of the property at 23200 Trans-Canada Highway from the land use designation of limited use to comprehensive development. Moved. Seconder. All those in favor? Those carried. The next one, the District of Hope Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 1475, 2020, read 23200 Trans-Canada Highway. that District of Hope zoning amendment bylaw number 1475, 2020 be given a third reading this 9th day of March, 2020, in order to rezone a section of the property at 23200 Trans-Canada Highway from limited use L1 to comprehensive development CD9. Moved and second. Councillor Erickson?
I just have one question. Did we get formal approval from the highways for the left turn going in? That's all been approved.
We received a letter from Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure. They indicated they have no concerns with the rezoning.
It does go to highways for formal approval after third reading, so I'll be sending that out.
Yeah, call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Down to C, the District of Hope zoning amendment bylaw number 1476, 2020, reads 64000 Edwards Drive. The District of Hope zoning amendment bylaw number 1476, 2020 be given a first and second readings this 9th day of March 2020 in order to rezone the property at 64000 Edwards Drive from single-family residential RS1 to single-family residential with a secondary dwelling RS1S, and further that the residents and the public be notified of the public hearing in accordance with the District of Hope application procedure and public hearing information meeting procedural bylaw number 1393, the Local Government Act, and the Community Charter. Moved. Second. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. D, report dated March the 3rd from the Director of Community Development, read the flood and erosion hazard development permit for 20711 Bristol Slough Road. Do you wish to speak to that, Ms. Goro?
The applicant, Jim Dent Construction, they are proposing to build an accessory shop and office on their property. Last year, when they added the workshop, they got the engineers to determine a safe building site for the office that they knew that they would be building this year. So they've already have studies done, and they're just seeking council's approval for the flood and erosion hazard DP. They know the setbacks from the river, they know what the minimum flood construction level is, so.
All right. Thank you. So it reads, flood and erosion hazard development permit be prepared in order to support the construction of accessory shop on the property at 20711 Bristol Slough Road, and further that upon receipt of an acceptable certified report from a qualified professional confirming the site-specific safe building location of the accessory shop, authorize the Director of Community Development to endorse the development permit and required covenant documents. And further that for purposes of the development permit validity period, the conditions of the development permit shall expire on July the 9th, 2020. And further that for the purposes of Section 504 of the Local Government Act, substantially start any construction shall mean the placement of a foundation for the shop or flood protection works as certified safe by a qualified professional. Moved. Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
I just,
Yeah.
Quick clarification, the
Thank
date
you.
was wrong.
Yes.
March 9th.
yeah.
Oh, I said July the 9th.
Yes.
I read right what was here. Thank you for picking that up. March the 9th.
Is that right?
No, it expires on July the 9th. That is correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Or should merge.
You're trying to confuse me. Mine says July the 9th.
So it is correct, there was just some
Expired.
debate here.
All right.
Apologies.
Are we all okay on that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
All right. So, I'll call the question then. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next one is report dated March the 3rd, 2020 from the Director of Community Development, reform and character development permit for 444 Trans-Canada Highway. That a downtown Hope revitalization forum and care, oh, sorry, do you want to speak to that first, Ms. Goro?
If you like, Your Worship.
Maybe we should.
Okay, this proposal is strictly for the downtown, form and character development permit. It's what the structure is gonna look like from the street. The proponent is aware that the number of apartment building, number of units he wants to build on the site does not conform to the existing zone. It exceeds the density that's permitted. If he chooses to continue on and have the 30 units he wants, he must apply and come to council and have a public hearing and the whole 9 yards on that before that's approved. So the report before you is strictly on the form and character. And this is the property, I don't know if you recall, it was rezoned recently from highway commercial to commercial transition, where they were gonna have commercial businesses on the bottom floor and residences up above. They have now changed their scope of work and they just want a complete apartment building.
Complete 4-story, 30-unit apartment.
Correct.
Yes, thank you. Okay. That a downtown Hope revitalization form and character development permit for the construction of an apartment building be approved for the property at 444 Trans-Canada Highway, and further that the Director of Community Development be authorized to approve minor changes to the downtown Hope revitalization form and character development permit, and further that for purposes of the development permit validity period, the conditions of the development permit shall expire on March 9th, 2022, and further that for purposes of Section 504 of the Local Government Act, substantially started construction shall mean the completion of an approved foundation for the proposed structure as certified safe by a qualified professional.
Excuse me, Mayor, in that resolution, the March 9th on this one should read, as indicated up here, this one should read July 9th.
That's the one that should read July 9th? Why?
The development permit conditions shall expire on July 9th. No?
It should be the same date, but it's 2 years in advance,
Yeah, sorry.
correct?
Yes.
I think we're good.
2022. No, you're right.
All right, we're good.
Announcement should be in 2022, not 2020. Is that with the airport? For D?
Because the last one was July 2020.
For D,
Either one is D, say.
it said should be 2022, shouldn't it?
If it's
Is
2
it
years,
They
that's
always-
correct.
Expire 2 years from the resolution date.
This is 2020.
Okay, so under D, it should be July the 9th, 2022, not 2020.
Under D,
That's where the mistake was made,
that's right.
under D.
Just confirm with
Yes.
community development.
Right?
July
That's correct, 2022.
Yes. It would be March the 9th. 2022.
And E is correct as it says here, March the 9th, 2022. Okay, we're all straight on that. I'll call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. For information correspondence, the accounts payable checking listing, that the accounts payable check listing for February 20th be received. Move. Second. Any questions? All those in favor? You. Opposed? Carried. For information correspondence, that for the information correspondence listed on March 9th, 2020 be received. Moved second. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. There's no other pertinent business. Question period. This time we'll entertain any questions from the public for items relevant to the agenda.
Yes, I have a question.
Just, do you mind stating your name for us?
Sarah.
Hi.
Sarah Robson, hi. Can you just go back to the 444 Trans-Canada Highway, please? So I have a question here. I understand that you want to turn it into a residential building, and it was going to be commercial residential. I'm wanting to know how, as a citizen, how can I have access to any reports that are done for this, speaking to how due diligence has been followed for the safety in that area, for accessibility and for the design and for the long-term plan in that area.
You could contact our Director of Community Development, He's not here tonight, but you can contact him at the office upstairs. He'd be glad to have a conversation with you.
Okay, all right. And is the reason, I'd like to also know, why was that area chosen for residential?
I guess that would be the developer's choice. Yeah. The developer chose that site because it was available, and they're starting the process to have it happen.
Okay, because it's a very tall building, where everywhere else is single. This is going to be 4-story for residential.
Part of our official community plan is to increase the density of our community.
Okay. So there are a lot of locations in Hope for that. So I just wanted to know, why would you put a 4-story residential right on a highway, major highway?
That's something you could ask the developer now. He's made that choice in coming to us with the requirements.
So the official city plan doesn't look into the longevity of the area
We do.
that's being located?
We have a community plan.
Right.
You're welcome to come upstairs and have a look at it as well, if that would help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just, I'm thinking long-term for that area, especially with the increase of transportation in that particular zone for a residential building.
Is it in this report, Ms. Goro, about, yes, it falls under the official community plan, it does.
It does.
So in our report, it does cover off the official community plan and the questions that we ask. Does the development move Hope forward in our vision and goals for success and sustainability? Is it aligned with our OCP objectives and policies? Is it a flexible platform for future steps toward our vision, goals, and objectives? And will it provide a good return on investment? And it's yes to all those questions that are in our community plan.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question. But please, if you want more information, come into the office and meet with our Director of Community Development. He's very easy to talk to, and he's very informative.
Okay, thank you.
He's not here tonight for me to tell him that. I hope he agrees with me on that. Yeah, I do too. Any other questions from the public? Hearing none, motion to adjourn. I'm off tonight. So the next meeting is Monday, March the 23rd, 2020 at 7 p.m. right here. Now a motion to adjourn. And then we will take a 5-minute break and reconvene for our committee of the whole.